Hello, hello. Good midday. Good midday. It's not really afternoon yet. It's not really morning. So it's good midday. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I
what
still
we
going
got.
with morning. How are you going?
Um,
Happy belated Christmas. Did I tell you that? Anyway, happy Christmas. And how was your
happy.
holidays, Gil?
My holidays were really, really quiet. Because of poverty. Uh, but not just that, I mean, it didn't have any big set of lines or the usual kind of going by people and eating their food and drinking their rum and liming, and all of that is kind of reduced to zero this year. And I have to say, I'm so happy to see my friends and family being so responsible and not inviting me to their house for Christmas this year. But yeah,
Well,
people trying, they're trying.
yeah. Only 1.3 million people passed through the TSA in the US, which means
Wow.
that most people stayed home. But that 1.3 million gonna be a problem.
That 1.3 million was like, we go in by we family, we go in and eat with food, we don't care
They
about this
don't.
COVID thing. I tell you,
They don't care.
it's amazing to me. I mean, first of all, never thought we'd be here. Never thought in a million years last Christmas that you had said, girl, this is what we're gonna happen next Christmas. And I say, okay, mad Nostradamus bullshit. You're talking COVID pandemic, what everybody going and stay inside because of a cold, please. And here we are,
Yeah.
right? So here we are. This is like unprecedented, very, very different time. Yet we still having Christmas. We still pushing through with so many things. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know if we'd have the Givin Trouble show.
Right. So COVID's mixed blessings. Mixed blessings. Oh,
Real mixed
COVID.
blessings. And we could take a quick look and see what is going on with the COVID in the world right now. It's always good. I mean, I know a lot of us don't, particularly me, when I say a lot of us, I mean me probably, don't like to keep track and see what's going on. But here we are in Trinidad and Tobago. We have 7,000 cases, about 7,000 cases in all, 6,500 recovered, and 125 deaths. And well, I mean, nobody needs to take another look to see what's going on in the USA. They having some serious issues there. What was the number you were giving me this morning, Lisa?
Like something like 65,000 people died in the month so far. And that's compared,
Um,
it's like almost double or something to who died in the number of people who died in the previous month.
that
So
is
it's it's
ridiculous.
it's awful. And of course, this is not even the dead of winter. So God bless those people. I'm so sorry for America right now, y'all. Please just take care of yourselves.
Yeah, and we have some viewers with us today. Avril, hi
Avril! Happy
Avril.
Christmas,
You
belated.
see, Avril's on my side. Good afternoon. Thank you,
Good morning,
Avril.
Avril. Ironically, it's still morning where Avril is at, by the way.
Okay, well, okay, whatever. Hi,
Hola,
Sam.
Sean.
Hola, hola, hola. Yeah, Avril, I agree with you. She said she not seeing Trinidad till 2023.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
one
said.
of our cheerleaders giving trouble is the gift that keeps on giving. Did you get gifts for Christmas, Lisa? Did you get any gifts for Christmas?
Not one. Wait, no, wait, no, wait. That's not true. I did get gifts.
Okay.
Um, Not tangible things that people put in paper, but I have the gift of friendship. I have the gift of family.
So
I
no
have the
gift.
gift of Jesus' love. I have the gift of a
All about it.
wonderful comedy partner.
Oh, you warm the cockles of me heart. Yes, 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 yes. Ah, I'm gonna go. I have to think for a second, but I got it. I got it. I got it. No, but I know, Lisa, that this Christmas has not been all smiles and laughter for you. You lost your brother last week, so again, accept my condolences.
Thank you. Yeah, it was kind of rough. One of my eldest brothers, my second eldest brother, on my mother's side, because I have, like many Trinidadians, branches of family between the two parents. But this is my
Yeah.
second eldest brother on my mother's side. He passed away on the 18th, and I just want to thank everybody who offered condolences and who, I mean, obviously they didn't come to the funeral, thank God, but those who offered condolences and just reached out and said, what he meant to them. It was really, I appreciate it and the family appreciates it. So thank you. And thanks to you for your condolences.
Of
Um,
course, of course. So
but
over the Christmas, I have been doing, I think, what everybody's been doing over the Christmas, especially if they can't go nowhere, and that is watching a shit ton of TV. Oh my god! And like all the shows I wanted to catch up on, I watched out. I watched out Mandalorian. Oh, that is a good
yes,
show. Oh, watch out Mandalorian. I watch out what you call it The Boys, the superhero show. I watched that. Oh, I watch all kind of things. But
did
right
that for sure.
now, because I'm on social media these days, because I'm watching all this TV and I'm on Facebook and thing, and I have a show coming up. So on social media these days, and I noticed that there's a buzz going on. There is a buzz about a show going on that have everybody going crazy because it have all kind of race issues, ethnicity issues, class issues, Bodice ripping, and the show is Bridgerton.
Yes, oh my
Yes,
God. Now, before I go on and start to talk about this thing, you have to know that I am doing an MPhil in interdisciplinary gender studies, and my topic is
stop trying to
romance
legitimize this shit, people.
novels.
Stop
No,
trying to legitimize it, okay? You're
no,
watching
there's
a
no
Bodice
trying
rip
to
on the
legitimize
game.
it.
You have no shame.
I also have no shame, but my interest in Bridgerton is not just for these steamy sex scenes, like for example, where the Duke of Hastings gives his wife oral on the steps. It wasn't that. It was no. I find the so it's an 8-part um, historical romance drama about a family called the Bridgertons, and this is in Regency, England. This is period blood, guys, on television. I think that's the
On
first time I've
TV,
ever seen period blood on TV.
another first for Bridgerton.
Yeah, no, no. You were looking at it as like just a romance thing and whatever, and it is of course a romance, but it's also very important for a number of reasons. One, this is a contemporary. This is not it's a historical book, but it's written by a contemporary author.
Right,
So unlike like all the Brontes and whatever, all the Pride and Prejudice and whatever, this is written in our time by a writer who's like alive. So that's a big
right.
thing. And what Shonda Rhimes, who's the
Oh no,
producer,
Bodice ripping, Bodice ripping.
Shonda Rhimes did this thing. Well, I don't know if she did it or whoever did it, but they put black people in the show. Look one. Oh my God, he's delicious, by the way.
Definitely yummy. Definitely yummy.
So what they
So,
did
so
was
what all these black people doing wearing the finery in the England,
in
right?
England.
In the England, in the white people England. Why did
So
they know? Why did they so with the
so
finery?
what they did was and this is spoilers, guys, spoilers. So what they did was the book is set, well, the books is based on a series of books, and books are set in in King George's England. And King George is married to Queen Charlotte, who is, by the portraits, black, right? She's a mixed race
Ooh,
woman. And so what they've done is they've imagined this version of Regency England in which a very important noble house, a duke, a duchy, is given to a black man, a black family, as a reward for service. And
right,
this is part of a kind of a movement by this Queen Charlotte to elevate black people and mixed race people within the English culture at the time. It's
right.
all fantasy, but it works very well in the novel and in the adaptation. And I really think it's it's worthy of discussion. There's
Okay.
also. Mhm.
Well,
Go ahead.
we have a guest with us today.
No, I want to
Um,
talk about Bridgerton more.
well, I bring
Bring
her
her in to
into
talk about more about
Bridgerton
Bridgerton.
too, so bringing her in. Right, so Miss Jeanelle, we bringing it in now, but you have to understand you have to do Bridgerton talk first, and then and she's like, she's so. So, ladies and gentlemen, award-winning author Miss Jeanelle Frontin, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So, guys, we have two award-winning authors on the show right now who have seen Bridgerton and award-winning filmmaker who has not. So, you know, why you like this Bridgerton thing? Because you went crazy.
Yeah, no. Shonda Rhimes is life. So let's start there, right? I think anything this woman touches is absolute gold. Like I've signed up for her masterclass, all kind of thing. I was given a gift of that. Like when I tell you, I'm in love with her mind and her ability to create. But what she's done with this show, I'm not complete with this full season yet. I only started last night. I had to stop myself and force myself to go to sleep because the binge pull was so real. Like it was intense. And yes, she's imagined a world where some of the most powerful characters are people of color.
Yeah.
So, and that
when I first saw it going on, I thought it was colorblind casting, where you don't explain anybody backstory. Black people have white children, white people have black children, and nobody talks about it like if race doesn't, ethnicity doesn't exist. You know, there's this, and that's a way of doing it. You know, so it was interesting for me when I was like telling Lisa, I was like, yeah, it's colorblind casting, and she's like, no, it's not. It is, you know, they've actually incorporated the ethnicity backstories of these people into the story. You know, so it's very exciting. But what I know is that both are in it for the bodice ripping.
No.
No.
I am here for sex education for girls, honestly.
Wow.
And also, yeah, I want to talk also. Well, you haven't seen it yet, but there's a scene, Jeanelle. You can block your ears if you're opposed to spoilers.
It's fine.
Where a female character has intercourse with her husband and forces the man to come inside of her. Wow. Which, if it had been a woman who was it, so if it had been reversed, we'd have been up in arms. So I'm kind of shocked and appalled that they put that scene in there.
Yeah.
And I've been, you know, I'm like kind of processing that as like, I still think it's not okay. And, you know, all of this stuff about reducing, you know, violence against women by having female characters cut men ass on screen. It must be very empowering for women, but is it like, I don't know, is it like really a good idea?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a huge perception that feminism is simply the reversal in almost every way of patriarchy, you know, so that now women on top abusing men, and that is the only real alternative, you know. So that is a little problematic. We have some viewer perspectives on the show. Somebody says it's Jane Austen meets Mills and Boone, you know, and okay, interesting. She's like, that's fair. Aaron Schneider is like, did not like it. And that's nothing as Aaron Schneider, not actual Aaron Schneider.
Well, I mean, there's only like one so far LGBTQIA, etc. Storyline in it, and I think that is also kind of a problem for people because, I mean, it's 8 children in the family.
Yeah,
I think it's only one of them gay, but that's just me. But I don't know.
Well, I don't know if that's you know that's where he was coming from. It's a good point to note. All right, and I just wanted to tap back very quickly before we move on to Jeanelle's book on the issue of the Queen Charlotte, the real biracial backstory. And why that's important, because it is important to discuss, and there's also another series that I intend to watch on, the Small Acts film series, that really looks at the way that the contribution of Black people has been systematically erased and eroded, in the history of Europe. So I think it's an important step in sort of bringing some of the true history and the true contribution of Black people, not just to the ripping of bodices, although Jude seems to rip bodices pretty good, but also that there is, a strong, true history that supports this perspective.
But anyway, thanks for humoring us, Jeanelle.
Yes.
I dare for it.
So anyway, well, back to the actual guest that we have here. This beautiful woman is Jeanelle Frontin, and she is the author of a brand new memoir and she called it Worship. Now, congratulations. And Jeanelle is also the author of the Yara Star trilogy, which is a young adult sci-fi book series. So and it's an award-winning series. So when you go from sci-fi young adult to a memoir, and the title is, and she called it Worship, and the blurb is provocative, honest, spiritual. We have questions.
Right? So, what is the book? What is the book about? Why did you write it? That was my main question. Why did you write it?
Oh, you know those moments where you feel like God came down from heaven to set you up and put you in a position you wasn't trying to be in?
Yes.
That was the feeling of when this book came to me. It actually came over July, August, the end of July, thereabouts. I think I was reaching this place. Of course, 2020 has done things to all of us, right?
That's psychological.
Oh, God knows. The whole shebang of reassessing and rethinking the way that we see the world. And I'd reached this point of clarity within myself that I have shoved so many things under this rug of mine in an effort to be as productive as I could be, as focused as I could be, as successful as I could be in any given situation. Mm-hmm. That at what point does a lack of analysis catch up with you? At what point does your rug become so minuscule compared to the heap of crap underneath it that you have to kind of say, okay, I feel like there's more in here that needs to be processed than I have given myself time to process, because life is happening. The ability to pause and look inward is limited in a year that makes us desperate to ensure that, the keyword is pivot and the keyword is getting on it. There's no time to sit and put in that work, but yet within myself, I knew that anything in the future depends on the space I have within me now to create it. And a lot of my space was filled with that muck.
Wow.
Stuff that just was not processed, not in a comprehensive way. Now, the one thing I would say that I've done for forever is journal. Writers know, it is a way to ventilate, to really assess what is going on. But it was like I journaled, and there were these 5,000 puzzle pieces of journals there that I hadn't yet put together to see what is the big picture, and I think that's what the book became.
Well, when I heard the name and I found out a bit about it, it felt very personal for me. The book was an exploration, and from everything you say, things that you put under the rug, and that image of the rug being all these things, like a tiny rug on top of all this baggage, it's a great mental image. So is this about you doing therapy through a book?
It is a version of, I guess, what is seen as art therapy, except it's story writing therapy. I actually have a cousin who specializes in art therapy, Satori Hasnalu, just, quick plug there. He's incredible at it from all I've heard. But for those of us who use words more than canvas, and we're able to sit with ourselves, I feel like story writing therapy is an incredible outlet to ventilate and figure out what's going on. But the catch is that you're going to have to be uncomfortably honest with yourself. And I think that is the one thing that I was able to finally really be with myself, is full on honest about, oh, you did so much crap. Like, real hair, like, and you wanted to pretend it was this and it was that, but call yourself out on it, and see what happens.
I just wait before she think. Louris, let me put this into context. It's not that she went out and take a set of man all over the country.
No.
I mean, nothing wrong with that if that's your choice, but that's not what she did. I was like, yeah, no. It's not like she went on drugs, or she, this is just
feeling judged again.
She ain't kill nobody.
No.
Judge.
I feel like you need to stop with the examples, before you put them.
I was about to say, but I mean, the story that I read was really, a normal kind of young woman coming to terms with sexuality, coming to terms with life, career, family, and deciding essentially, do I want to be my mother?
In that sense, yes, that's quite straight. Yeah.
Do
I want to be? So that the book has these 3 parts, and I guess it's how I envisioned it, because as Lisa would know, like, the fantastical part of us just doesn't die. The storyteller is always there. So that I envisioned what it was to have a birth mountain, a valley experience, and then finding your mountain. So that it was a 3-part sort of series of the first part being called "We Are Born on Mountains, but They Are Not Ours," and what it means to really accept that where you are born is not necessarily where you must live or be. It's important for your foundation, for your anchor, but if you do not accept the quest to find your own mountain, even if it ends up with you returning right back to the first mountain, after all, you must still journey to figure out what are you here to do and why you here to do it, and to rid yourself of that work, of that inner work, is I don't know, like, I think it's your duty. The duty of life itself is to do that work, and if you're not doing it, if you're throwing away that responsibility, I think that you're missing out on the fullness of what you could become.
I want to ask about, so you mentioned just now that this, I'm going to mispronounce the word, is it Augean stables? When Hercules opened the thing and that the river clean out the stables, does anybody know what I'm talking about? Anyway. The stables where it had plenty horses.
Yes.
And the stables was never cleaned, and was one of his tasks, and he had to open this, and he decided he would open this river and watch the river would pass through the stables, and therefore the stables would be clean.
Right.
If any kind person who has a classical education would come and rescue me with the pronunciation, that'd be great.
The name of the stables are not important. Everybody finish the analogy, McGill.
But your book, you said this was like that kind of process where you just sort of opened up and let everything get washed out, and that
and one of the like level of holding on to that and saying, all right, we're dealing with the thing.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that some of the things you talked about most of them I find were just like normal. Like I went UE and changed. Life happened. But there were a couple of really things in there that kind of they were shocking, because we look at you and we see this beautiful, accomplished, have it all together chick who has been a CEO of music. What is it? Music TT.
Right. Yes.
She's been CEO of Music TT. She's been, just award-winning author. She's got it together. This is the kind of woman who I would see across the room and go, damn. Like, she really have it together. But then you read the story, and there are a couple of incidents in it that are shocking because, for example, when you were in an abusive relationship, now anybody can be in an abusive relationship, but I think many of us always have this idea that, you know, you're too bright for that, or you're too bright, you know, or, you know, or like, how can you allow, you know, you know, so I found it very valuable to read your experience of being in the relationship and how you kind of found yourself in there. Like, I don't know how this happened, but here I am. And then how you got out of it. So what was like with the decision to write about that?
That was, I remember having this moment of, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it fully. You know, I'm not going to hold back on the pieces, because it's nice to speak on the things that gave us wings, but sometimes those things came from the very bottom parts of our life, you know. And I sat with it, I remember, for a few days. I kept having to write that chapter. Like, I ended chapter 3, supposed to start chapter 4, and I hyperventilated to begin that chapter, because there was this moment of wondering, oh my God, is this going to send me rocking in a corner if I were to sit down and write about this? You know, because I wasn't going to hold back on the most impacting pieces of the entire part of that story. But what is it to really allow myself to go back there and remember? Because a lot of my shoving things under the rug wasn't anything other than, if I let this back into my mental space, it's going to distract me from what I'm trying to do today, so that fear of the past, fear of what it would do to the present me, to see that there's a version of me behind me, you know, from a life that I no longer feel connected with, that made decisions on my behalf, under my name and my person, that I would never do today. And that, I think, made me think that it was important to write it, because there are so many people who are living with the ghosts of who they are, you know, and they haven't reconciled the ghosts into one being, into one experience of life, because of shame, because you're ashamed to admit that I was that person who made a decision to stay in something, thinking that I could be strong for two people when I couldn't even be strong for myself, you know. And you kind of have to be real with yourself about the past yous, while not attaching the present or future you to any version of your past. Now, in a place like cancel culture, that can be very difficult.
Sure.
Right? Because we are canceling people left, right, and center, and we don't allow people to live down anything that they have done. So there was a part of me that felt like, what about, because of the books, for example, the trilogy, I have gone to these schools where there have been a lot of young ladies who would have spoken to me about, you know, Yara and her journey, and they're so inspired. And I'm there thinking, like, what if this ruins their vision of the person that they have me up on a pedestal to be?
Yes,
you know? And then I'm thinking, at the same time, no one stays on a pedestal. Pedestals are elusive things. They're not real. Everybody falls off them. It's just, who knows? You know, who finds out that you fell off is more the question in today's world. So that, why aren't we normalizing the pain, so that we could normalize the healing? You know, not so that we stay in the pain, but that the experiences can be exchanged as real things that have happened, as real decisions that we've made, as choices from the least wise visions of ourselves and most pained versions of ourselves. Because I can tell you for sure that came from my own rejection of self, to allow someone to do that to me.
Well, Jeanelle, I have wanted to write a book, but you have cured me of that desire, because it's so hard. And it's sounding like you're real. You know, it's not, I mean, I can hear the work. I can hear the work on self. So the as you say, you know, you can't breathe. you're panicking when it's time to write about certain things. And I think it's great for people to hear that, to hear that journey, that it's not, oh, I'm just gonna write a story, Frodo's gonna find a ring. Yeah. It's really, it comes from a deep and dark place. And the last question I have is, because we're over time as per the usual, is when somebody gets this book and reads it, what for you as the author, what would you like for them to take away from it or to feel when they finished reading?
So ultimately, I think that the thing that got me off the path and the thing that got me back on it, all encapsulated within one simple lesson, and that is the ability for any person to tune into what is their version of God. What is God for you? What that is, because as I said, I try not to speak to religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, because I believe that that's not my place, and I don't feel that was the purpose of the book. But what I do believe the purpose of the book became is how much more aligned your life becomes when you trust yourself that you can listen and hear God for yourself, that you can find that path back to the person that you're supposed to be, even in the midst of this madness that might be life, whether it's the normal things that are happening or the tragic things that are happening, that the fundamental doesn't remain the same. The issue that I think I had was that I kept looking externally for some sort of validation and proof and evidence of that the thing that I felt or led to do was real. So
Somebody to open the gate and say, well done, Jeanelle.
validate that I
This is
feel this
correct.
way.
Here's a tick,
Because
my girl.
I'm not willing to trust myself. I'm not willing to take a chance on myself. I'm not willing to risk it based on the thing I feel led to do. And we have I feel like a globe of people, really a globe where everyone's looking to everyone else before they make a move and take a step. And at some point, people need to be able to hear God for themselves, because what is the point otherwise? So my aim is to kind of cover both the good and the bad of it, and to say in every step that I took where I tuned in and listened and was real with me, I got the next step that I was supposed to take for my life. And nobody could give that to me. Nobody could give that to me. So that it's more about getting people to a place of realizing they have to find this for yourself. Like, yes, it's good to have the community and it's good to have the discussions and it's good to have the encouragement. But if it doesn't start with you, it's off.
I would also like to say that Jeanelle is a publisher, and that she actually produced this book. Now, writing a book is one thing. Publishing a book is another thing. And the book looks good, and the book is, it's well edited. Kevin, it's well edited. The book is,
and I have to show our viewers they can get the book on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I was clever enough, because I'm so clever, to pull up all your books on Amazon. So we also have I know, right? The Aristocracy trilogy, books 1, 2, and 3. So this book I think is more positioned towards adults. Where the trilogy is a young adult audience, which includes me. In case you don't know, I'm definitely a young adult audience.
Certainly.
I love them books, so I'll be getting my copies. And you can get a copy of, and she called it Worship, on Amazon. So definitely go and check that out.
No, we do have it locally available, just to be clear, because we've had some bookstores showing us great support in this area, from RIK to Paper-Based Bookshop in Normandy to Metropolitan and Emporium. They all have been supporting local authors in the ways that they can during a particular time when it's, a tough financial environment. So thank you to them for that, truly.
So
And kudos
guys,
to you for having your content ready, for being ready and having it doing the work, you know.
I'm doing the work. Oh, one other interesting thing about the book for the reader is that there's a list of resources at the end.
Yes.
So, you know, you're not just left feeling like, oh, God, my life. But there's like, you know, lists of things you can,
Next steps and
yeah,
things.
next steps and you know, some of the things she talks about in there, like a personality type. Oh, you would love this
Call it the
Lou.
Myers-Briggs type
Yeah.
indicator.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is seriously deeply up her alley.
Mhm.
All them kind of thing.
The website I
Yeah.
recommend for that is 16personalities.com. It's based on the work of Carl Jung, and then it has been adapted into a lot of research to bring the Myers-Briggs test into the world. It's a good basis to start if you're trying to get to face parts of you that you're not too sure. Why do I do the things I do? It's a nice foundation. It's not comprehensive in a way that it goes down uniquely to who you are as a person, because it says there's 16 types in the entire world. So obviously there'll be nuances. But I found it to be, when I started my introspective journey, a perfect tool to begin with. Really, really good.
Well, Jeanelle, thanks so much for being on the show. It's been amazing. I faced harsh truths about myself just in the last half hour. I wish I could thank you, but now I have to go and deal with the implications of all the insights that you have given.
She needs to go back and retake the Riggs. Oh, what is the personality test? Myers.
We had some really nice
table.
Nicholas Maxwell showing some appreciation. Thank you, ladies. And Celeste, congrats, Jeanelle M. Frontin. She know about the M, so she know you're from somewhere. So just right. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. It's called, and she called it Worship. Make sure and get your copy today. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Givin Trouble show. We have our year in review on Thursday, so that's gonna be real bacchanal. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.